Hi. All right, so today we're going to make leggings. What you need for making your own leggings. About a yard or a yard and a half of two-way stretch fabric. I like wool jersey. 1-inch elastic, enough to fit around your waist. Swedish tracing paper or not. A sewing machine, you don't need a serger. A ballpoint sewing machine needle, size 12 works well, and a walking foot. Now, the walking foot you don't necessarily need to have. It's nice to have. It keeps the fabric from sort of shifting. The ballpoint needle, I would say you have to have it. You could use a universal and try it. A sharp needle is going to make you swear, and it does not work on jerseys. I would just go for the ballpoint needle. But you could test it with a universal. And then you also need a pair of leggings that fit you, that you want to copy. So this way of doing this is using something you already have, not buying a pattern. Although I am going to link to a pattern on the website if you don't have a pattern. So the first thing you're going to do is, if you want to keep this pattern, use the Swedish tracing paper. And I really like this stuff. I can't imagine not using it. If you don't want to have to buy it, or you don't want to make more than one pair, you can just trace your leggings right onto your jersey. That's going to be, you might have a bad day if you do that, but you can try it. I do that kind of thing all the time. So here's my pair of leggings that I love, and these are Hue. What I've done is I've turned them inside out and turned one leg into the other. Do you see how I've done that? And then I just have pinned a little, what to me looks like the center of both ends, if that makes sense. What you're doing is you're making the pattern right now. And this pair of leggings is only 2 pieces, basically 2 legs. There's no outside seam. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of trace and roll while you're tracing to get your pattern piece. You're only going to have 1 piece. You just make 2 of them. So it's hard to kind of see here because it's so, long. But what you do, pretend this tracing paper is going all the way down the correct direction. So you kind of lay it down, and you want your seam to sort of go on the edge like this. And then you start tracing, and you would trace this part, try to lay it flat, trace, 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 trace the top, trace, 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 and then right where you think the center line is, go ahead and stretch it, and then mark the center line, and then draw your line all the way down. Now, you have to do the other side, which is different, because leggings that are made well, the front is different than the back, because you have your booty, you got to fit in there. So then, go ahead and flip it like this, and you've marked it. Pretend this is the imaginary pencil here. And then go ahead and trace, 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 trace. Remember to stretch it and mark. And then go ahead and add the width of your elastic up at the top. Like if it's an 1-inch wide elastic, add 1 inch and then maybe 1/4 of an inch up at the top. And same thing at the bottom. Go ahead and add 1 inch at the bottom. So now you have your pattern and you cut it out. Now, if that seems a little bit, haphazard, it is. It's not 100% precise, but this is stretchy fabric, so you have some give there. So now you have a pattern piece. Again, it's a little hard to see because it's white on white and it's long, but it looks like this. Okay, and I've marked on here back, front, no seam allowance. So now I'm going to lay this out on my jersey and pin it and cut it. Now there's no seam allowance on this. You can either add it to the edges before you cut it out, or what I do is I actually add the seam allowance when I cut it. So basically if I lay it out on the fabric, I just cut about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Now again, use your own comfort with this. That's what I do pretty much whenever I sew, because I am queen eyeball and it works for me. But if you're nervous, you can go ahead and just factor in the seam allowance before you cut it out. So I went ahead and transferred that to my jersey fabric, and I used a little white marking tool that makes it really handy. You can also use just a white fabric pencil, because what I do is always tends to be dark. So here's my finished leggings. And basically what you do is you cut out that one piece and you sew the inside leg. We're getting back to the ones that are purchased here. So you sew this all the way down, and you do it on both sides. So you basically have two tubes, and then you stick one leg inside the other, right sides together, and then you sew from the center front to the center back over through here. And at this point, I would go ahead and use 2 rows of stitching, because the crotch is what always wears the fastest. And I've serged this, but you absolutely don't need a serger. But you know, you're going to be using a straight stitch here and a straight stitch here, normal size. Because when you're sewing vertically, you don't need to have a zigzag or anything. So then you're going to be putting in the elastic. And what you do there is you don't sew a casing and thread it through. You do this clever little system, and again, you don't need a serger, but you get some elastic and you measure, put it around your waist, make a ring like this. So this is around your waist where you want it to fit, and go ahead and sew it. And then on your legging, you take it, and I've already finished this one, but I'm going to show you. Imagine that this is unfolded. You take your elastic and you leave just a little bit of an edge here, and you stretch it, and you sew a zigzag from the inside of the elastic over the edge. Doink, 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 doink. And you're pulling it. And actually, I should have said before you do that, you want to pin it, because it is a circle already. So you pin it in 4 spots. You just basically kind of put a pin in the center here, like in a quadrant. And then go ahead and pin that evenly with the 4 pins in the waistband. So what happens is you kind of have a pin here and a pin here, and it kind of is a guide to let you know, oh, okay, I have to stretch this much to stretch it from that pin to that pin. So you have a zigzag on here, and you do that all the way around while you're stretching. And now it's on, and then you fold it, and it's encased. And then you go ahead and you stretch it and you sew it again. And at this point, you could do a little bit of a longer straight stitch, or you could just do a zigzag again. And again, you're stretching. So it's completely enclosed. And so it looks like this. And the reason why you can see the line on mine is I had a lighter color of serger. I also just put in a little bit of fold over elastic here just to show me what the back is. So when I pull it on, I don't have to be very awake and to know what the front and the back is. So that is it. Then you do the hem with a wide zigzag. If you want, sometimes I actually just cut the hem. What do you think of that? Don't even hem it, but I did hem these. The fabric here is wool jersey, and it's a 2-way stretch, which means it stretches this way and this way. You really want to make sure you try and find that, or at least you go with something that's similar to what your jersey fabric is that you're copying. And the other thing is I really, really, really strongly suggest this book for sewing with knits. This is Sew You, built by Wendy. It has a lot of tips. It actually doesn't cover leggings, but it has just a lot of great tips on sewing with jersey fabric. And the other thing to keep in mind is when you're sewing leggings, you can buy them cheap. So for me, it's not worth it unless I do it in wool. And the wool is expensive. This is washable wool jersey. It's pretty nice. I've seen it anywhere from $30 a yard down to $15 a yard. But really be honest with yourself when you feel it, whether or not it's going to itch you and drive you crazy. Of course, the higher quality stuff is more expensive. But what I'm comparing this to is wool jersey leggings from like icebreaker or, really high-end stuff that usually retail for like $60 or $70. So to me, if I can make them under $40, it's worth it. And that's it. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll put some links on the blog. Thanks.